We welcome you back to Lehigh University Stabler Athletic Center. 9-0 lead for Wilkes College. Shel Siegel along with Larry Sheridan and our guest Marv Wilensik bringing you all the action here now in the fourth bout of the evening. Jim Frick of Lehigh, senior co-captain from Columbia, New Jersey. Frank Castano, a junior from Roseto, Pennsylvania. Frick 4-1 on the season, and Castano is 2-0-1.
So Lehigh down by 9, and Frick is a pinner, younger brother of Lehigh, former national champ.
Well, from a scoring point of view, Larry, the first bout at 118 and that one at 134, very similar. In that, in the first bout, Brian Bauer got way out ahead of Ed Regan, 5-0, and then Regan came back, but Bauer won 9-8. In this one, Ron Miller totally dominated John Epperly until actually the final minute. Epperly at one point had it tied 9-9, and then Miller came on to win it 13-11. So the Colonels are leading 9-0. And as Larry mentioned, that's precisely where the strength of the Wilkes College team may be found. And John Reese has got to be happy with having his team run true to form, winning 3 in a row at the lightweight. And he hasn't brought Iannuzzi and Rome out yet, and that would give them 5 victories. And if the the predictions go right, it would be 5-5, and it would come down to the heavyweight. And it's like who's got the most pins may end up the winner of this dual meet. Of course, in the next bout, Lane Pendleton will be on the mat rather than Chad Watkins, so Lehigh will give up a lot of experience in that bout against Joe Iannuzzi. Then Solomon Fleckman will go at 158. Tom Togus not wrestling for Lehigh at this time. So Fleckman at 158 will wrestle Mike Schroet, who is undefeated sophomore. So it's not going to be a cakewalk by any means in the middle weights. Wilkes has some very respectable young men. And you're seeing Frank Castano match off here against Jim Frick.
Here we go.
Incidentally, Shell,
Thad Turner and Tommy Hutchison, Lehigh's coaching duo.
You saw me spinning through the rule book. Wasn't looking for the rules, but this year the NCAA has put in the book somewhere, I saw it when I got it about a month ago and read it, that they have a statement of purpose in there, kind of an indication to all referees telling them that, hey, fellas, there's too much pressure put on you with 15 seconds to go in a lot of bouts, and there's been a lot of, quote, unnecessary, there's a takedown, unnecessary calling of stalling and penalty, and they urge the official to be consistent throughout the bout. It's just a simple duck under, picking up the single leg, tripping it, gaining control of the situation, dropping the opponent, and getting the 2. So what they're emphasizing early on is telling officials, don't get yourself in a bind, don't get yourself in a pressure situation with 20, 30 seconds to go, and what you didn't call stalling in the second period, suddenly with 15 seconds to go, you classify as stalling because coaches and fans and contestants are yelling at you. This is exactly what you and I have advocated for years. They don't call in the first period, they don't call in the second period, and then suddenly with 15 seconds to go, the referee says, hey, that's stalling. And you end up putting yourself in a bind, and you put unnecessary pressure on the wrestlers, and it's not fair. They ask for consistency in the stalling calls.
26 seconds to go in the period.
2-0.
Of course, as we mentioned earlier, Marv Wilensik, who does a lot of recruiting for Brown. Marv is one of Tommy Bowles' great fans. Have you talked to Tommy Bowles this season, Marvin?
Yeah, I've spoken to Tommy a number of times, Shelley. Tom's mother suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized in St. Luke's, now back home and recovering, and I'm sure she'll be watching if they let her. But Tommy's having a great year, and you know we love him. We're very privileged to have the great Lehigh wrestler with us up there.
Well, we're happy that he's helping at least out at Brown, a team that is building its wrestling team. They've proved to us this year they have a good football team, and I won't elaborate on that any longer.
Top, bottom, neutral, defer. Defer, defer.
Well, I think this year, Marvin, Bobby Hill is back.
Yeah, Bobby Hill back. They have a 67 named E.C. Muehlhaupt, who lost to Kolb of North Carolina by 9-8 in the Stroudsburg tournament in overtime, and we think we have a pretty well-balanced team. We're going to make a run at the league this year.
Good.
second period.
You might be alone as Frick gains the escape. Army looks like the best recruiting of the Eastern schools. They're the defending Eastern champions, and the coach didn't let any grass grow under his feet, and he did a superb job recruiting for the cadets. We have a new coach down at Navy. Ed Peary decided to retire after 27 years of coaching down at Navy, and we're going to miss him coming up here because he was always a colorful guy, but his longtime assistant, Reggie Wilkes, has been named head coach. Reggie had been down there about a dozen years as assistant coach. He's now head coach of the midshipmen. And of course, Shell, the question of the night, who's the new assistant coach at the Naval Academy?
Here we go, man.
I'll give you a little trivia. You work on that one because
you know it's somebody we all know.
That's right.
Okay,
I'll save you the time. Pete Schuyler is the assistant coach at the United States Naval Academy, and so we'll get to see Pete this year. Former Lehigh great Pete Schuyler, assistant coach at the Naval Academy.
Starting to set up a chain of young men out of the Thad Turner stable.
Yes.
3-0 is the score here in the second period, here at 142 on the injury time to Frank Castano. Jim Frick trying to put Lehigh on the board.
I think Castano is the first guy I at least recall that wrestled at the Lehigh or against Lehigh from Rosetto, PA.
We want to remind our viewers in the Lehigh Valley area here on Channel 39, the Sheridan Tournament Finals will be on Sunday, December 13 at 11 in the morning, and then Lehigh's next dual match here on Channel 39, December 20th at 11 a.m. That'll be Lehigh and Cornell. Now we're ready to go again in the second period. Jim Frick is out in front, 3-0. Frick has a 4-1 record this season. His only loss came to Pat Santoro of Pittsburgh. That was a 12-4 major decision in the Matttown tournament. And Frick has defeated Jeff Derlin of Penn State and Darrell Nerov of Army among his victories. He's defeated Nerov twice this season.
Nice to see Mike Caruso sitting up there yawning. He and Sandy.
Stay on the mat, man. Stay on the mat.
Probably listening to one of Sandy's golf stories about the hole-in-one she got this summer. He's heard it enough. That's why it caused him to yawn. 57 seconds left in the second period.
Frick trying to get Lehigh back in, perhaps get a major decision. Again, we remind you there are no more superior decisions. The superior decision does not exist in college wrestling anymore. The major decision is 8 to 14 points. And that gets you 14 points.
Nice counter move where Frick went in on a single. Castano just went for a far leg, try to get maybe a lock up in a cradle combination.
I'll tell you, Larry, you know, it's interesting that whenever a Wilkes wrestler does something, you get a lot of cheering here. A lot of fans came down from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area. Like a lot of Lehigh fans used to go up there when Lehigh would wrestle, and that is terrific for college wrestling when you'll follow your team. And I would say that about at least 1/3 of the fans here are from Wilkes College.
Well, it's not like I say, an hour and 15 minutes down the turnpike, providing there's no deer in your way or any fog, no takedown. Frick saved by the buzzer.
Here's the takedown, Larry. We're looking at the almost takedown.
Frick goes in, picks up that leg, but overhooked around the back leg by Castano, and a nice counter move.
Well, for many years, Larry, as you know, and still is true, many of the Lehigh wrestling diehards follow Lehigh all over the place, including the tournaments. And it's really good to see Wilkes College with a fine wrestling team and a great coach like John Reese to have fans following them around, and we hope that they have a big turnout of fans. They're about an hour and a half closer to Syracuse than we are, which is where the Easterns will be.
It's a light crowd tonight, Shell. I'd say less than 2,000, which is surprising. But you got to market the sport. There wasn't any articles about it in the local papers as it being a wrestling meet tonight at Lehigh, so I think a lot of fans weren't paying attention. Maybe tomorrow they'll read in the paper and see, oh yeah, wrestling did start. But wrestling needs all the help it can get, and marketing is a big important product. They're not going to knock down your doors. You got to ask them to tell them. 1:16 left. Frick not having an easy time
Well,
We're
this
only
year,
leading 3-1.
Since the Easterns will be up in Syracuse in March, we'll have to get Marvin to get his sleigh and sled out, maybe, to get us up there this year.
My four-wheel.
He does have a four-wheeler, and he guarantees that we'll be up at the Easterns, and he'll find a way to get us through to Manly in March.
3-1 to score. Frick has 1 minute and 12 seconds time advantage.
Warning, red.
And we have a
Wilkes,
warning against Wilkes.
Well, I have to tell you, Larry, if Syracuse is turning out wrestling teams like they're turning out basketball and football teams this season, we're going to have our hands full up there.
Well, I didn't hear that they recruited anybody outstanding. I only heard that Army did a super job. And again, this Frank Castano is really doing a super job, only trailing by 2 against EIWA runner-up and senior co-captain Jim Frick.
25 seconds to go in the third period. Frick trying to hang on, and Freddie maybe losing a little patience here, but they're going off the mat with 19 seconds to go.
Let's go.
Frick trying to put Lehigh on the board. Wilkes College out in front, 9-0. The Colonels have won 3 in a row. Early bouts. And unless something disastrous happens for the brown and white here, it looks like it'd be a 2-point takedown to make it 5-1. Not enough for a major. The riding will make it 6-1. That's the way the period will conclude. And so Jim Frick gets the first team points for the brown and white. Lehigh University finally gets on the scoreboard, and at the end of 1:42, it's Wilkes College 9 and Lehigh University 3. As we prepare to go here at 150 pounds, Lane Pendleton, who comes from a pretty fair wrestling family, 2-3 this season. He's from Huntington Valley.